The Farrellys changed the name of the script to Go West, and then a power tool is not a toy, just to get the studio execs to read it. The script passed through and was rejected by every major studio until it made its way to New Line Cinema, where studio president Mike DeLuca, he's actually the guy who wrote Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare with Rachel Taylor. Yeah.
It's kind of just funny how things just find their way to New Line.
Yeah, New Line in the 90s was kind of the thing.
They were the scrap getters.
They really were.
Although they turned all of it into gold.
Yep,
so
that is very true. I mean, to be fair, in 1990 they picked up a movie that nobody wanted to make called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it kind of made a lot of money and broke every record possible.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So Michael DeLuca loved the script and agreed to make it, but our old friend Bob Shaye, the studio's CEO, hated it and only agreed to greenlight the film if the filmmakers could secure 2 leads from a list of 25 comedic actors provided by the studio. The Farrellys pitched the script to the entire list of actors, all of whom turned it down. There's also a rumor that...
I'd like to see that list.
I would too, but I couldn't find it. There's also a rumor that the original screenplay was actually written by John Hughes. Due to the deal he made with the directors, his name was to be stripped from the project, including the script. I don't know.
Yet it wasn't stripped from Baby's Day Out. So,
yeah,
you figure that
I'm not sure.
Because he wrote that, correct?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
Okay. Do I dare say we'll get there?
Oh, we'll eventually get there. I mean, if we feel like beating up on a dead guy, Just
his movie.
Yeah, but we still have to wonder, like, what happened to you, you once genius? You wrote Baby's Day Out. I'm sure he thought it was going to be good.
I'm sure he did.
Maybe he liked it, and I hope he liked it. That would make me happy.
That's the only thing that I hope.
That's true. So, ready for some original choices for Harry and Lloyd?
Oh, God, here we go.
So, in the whole, like, I want an alternate universe of this, Nicolas Cage and Gary Oldman were the original choices.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ!
How badly do you want
Gary
that movie?
Who's who? Wait, who's who?
I don't know. It didn't say. My guess, judging from it, I would say
Nick Cage has to be Lloyd.
Nick Cage is Lloyd, and Oldman is Harry.
Because Harry is the... I read somewhere...
Smarter of the two.
Yeah, Harry is the dumb in the Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
God, what accent would he go with?
Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
Fuck.
You know what I mean?
Southern, perhaps?
You think?
Yeah, maybe.
Like Zorg Southern? Like...
Yeah. Like, just, like, kind of...
Like country fried?
A little bit country fried. Maybe not so... Maybe more just like a tinge.
More of a Midwestern...
Like a twang, perhaps. Yeah.
Because I don't even know where Jeff Daniels was going with his accent. Was it, like...
Simpleton. That's all that was. That was
because it was a bit of a Minnesota, like...
Yeah, it was a little bit... Yeah, it was a little bit Midwestern kind of... Yeah, it was in that vein. He also seemed like he didn't know how to open his mouth properly to speak.
Yeah.
You know, like his tongue didn't work properly.
Like every time he would talk, his tongue would fall out, and then the words would follow.
Yeah, exactly. It was really... I mean, it was a great but weird choice.
Yeah.
Steve Martin and Martin Short both turned down the role of Lloyd.
I would have seen... That's a movie with those two in it as Harry and Lloyd.
Eddie Murphy and Mike Myers also were considered for Lloyd. I bet they were, but that wasn't happening.
Lloyd Christmas. Hey! Lloyd Christmas. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, in an alternate world, the morbid curiosity has me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Chris Elliott, Chris Farley, and Rob Lowe were all considered for the role of Harry. Rob Lowe. I don't know. I mean, and to be fair, this is peeing on Rob Lowe, so he kind of didn't have much of a choice.
I guess.
So he didn't have much of a, like, this was right after Wayne's World. So he was kind of on his attempt at being, like, a comeback of, like, yeah, you peed on that girl, but it's cool, man, come back.
I like how most of those late 90s, late 80s, early 90s Brad Packers had to, like, have a comeback.
All of them had to.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even think of one that did well. I mean, I guess Matthew Broderick is the only one that kind of came out all right.
And he killed a guy.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, like, Rob Lowe only peed on a chick. And yeah, R. Kelly peed on a chick that was underage, and it took until now to get caught. Or at least Rob Lowe's was of age, I think. Pretty sure. I think. I don't know.
I mean,
I never saw
all
the
Robert
video.
Downey did was just
drunk.
the blow.
Yeah, drunk and coke, and then eventually he got Iron Man. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they all came back at varying degrees of time.
Yeah, like I can't think of a. I mean, Judge Reinhold faded into TV, as did like Ali Sheedy and.
I guess the only thing Winona Ryder did was steal.
Yeah, she kind of did all right. She
But
kind of
she's
came
just
out.
nuts.
But is she a brat packer though?
That's the thing.
She's an outsider.
It's one of those weird, like...
Basically, the easiest way to tell is if you were in any John Hughes flick at a point, and you were also in St. Elmo's Fire. That's where you become a brat packer. I think that's the...
So Matt Dillon is...
Matt Dillon is a part of it, because also I think so is Patrick Swayze.
See?
Fuck.
Okay, we need,
you know what?
We need a board with red string.
Yeah. You know what? This conversation should be held off for Brat Pack Month, which will happen probably now sooner than later, and we'll figure this out. At one point, and I want to see this more than life itself, Corey Haim and Feldman were discussed to star.
I mean...
At the time... Well, no, at the time they were done. This was pretty much, they were done at this point. But I would love to see the two Coreys.
Their biggest movie was Together. Together was License to Drive, correct?
Yes. As their starring vehicle.
Yeah.
Because I think Lost Boys made more money, but it was their first one. But yeah, License to Drive
and that was
an
ensemble. That had Kiefer and...
Exactly. I think,
Speaking of Brad Packers.
Yeah, really. License to Drive was kind of their hit, and that was like, what, 89?
Yeah,
So they were done by this point, because at this point they were doing Last Resort, if I remember correctly.
You're old news, Corey.
But Bob Shea wouldn't allow it,
no.
As he felt the Coreys were no longer bankable actors. He's not wrong.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I love the Coreys. We'll do a month on them too, don't worry. I love them so much.
We'll at least get to the Lost Boys for sure.
Well, we're going to do more than that, trust me. With me around, we're going to do some Coreys. In the early draft, Mary's husband was going to be actor Mel Gibson, whom they were trying to get as a cameo.
It should have been somebody.
Oh, no, they were actually trying to make it be Mel Gibson, not just have Mel Gibson in the movie.
Like my
husband is Mel Gibson.
No, but it should have been...
it should have been a name. It shouldn't have been
a
random
cameo,
asshat.
not random guy who I don't know.
Yeah. But to be fair, who did the Farrelly brothers know? I mean,
at
this
that
would
time,
have been... Like, in a world where Bob Shea...
Ben Stiller. Weren't they buddies with Ben Stiller? Even in 94?
Not at the time, no. I think it wasn't until probably the next year that they became friends.
Because Ben Stiller would be the choice.
He would have been a choice, yeah. I mean, at this point, I think the problem would have been the fact that Bob Shea had no interest in the project necessarily.
Although, as a cameo in '94, watching in the theater, Ben Stiller gets out of the car. You're like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's that guy.
Because he's not even.
Yeah,
really
you need a Mel Gibson for that to work. Yeah. You really do. The Farrelly brothers didn't know who Jim Carrey was. They were only told that he was known as the white guy on In Living Color. Not wrong. It was only after the brothers were invited to watch a screening of Ace Ventura they realized they'd struck gold.
I love these Jim Carrey in '94 stories where people are like, because they're all coming, they all came out at the same time, so they
all came out at the same time, and they were being filmed almost back to back. So a lot of the times, like Ace Ventura hadn't screened when they started this.
Even in Hollywood, you're not hearing rumblings of like this guy.
Not
Jim
unless
Carrey,
not until the movie comes out. I mean, in all fairness, the movies we've covered this month are idiotic and a gamble, to say the least.
Almost exclusively idiotic.
Yeah. And they're a fucking major gamble on a guy who was a nobody. Case in point, Carrey was initially offered $700,000 to appear in the film. However, the offer went in the same week Ace Ventura opened at number 1 at the box office. So by the time Carrey's agents had renegotiated, the film's producers, his salary had upped for itself to $7 million, almost half the film's entire budget.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess JD didn't get
next one, Jeff Daniels was only paid around $50,000.
Here's $5 and a fucking
yep,
and a baseball card. Yep. Oh wait, I got some lint too. Here you go.
There was a reason. New Line Cinema originally did not want Daniels in the film, as he was only known for his dramatic work at the time, which is not true because he'd done comedies before. However, the Farrelly brothers and Carrey wanted Daniels for the part. Although New Line agreed to their demands, Daniels was offered the low salary in the hopes it would discourage him from signing on to the film. Jeff Daniels later claimed 3 of his agents desperately called him the night before he was to have his costume fitting, begging him not to go, saying they would get him out of his contract.
Jeff, Bobby, please. I'm begging you. It's only $50,000.
Uh-huh. They told him in no uncertain terms he was making the worst mistake of his career, that he would destroy his reputation as a serious actor, while Jim Carrey would receive all the credit for the movie's comedy. Daniels told them his decision was final, and that if it was a mistake, it was his to make.
Sometimes agents are right, sometimes they're wrong.
You know what? This movie really didn't do much of anything for Jeff Daniels, to be fair.
It didn't hurt or help.
Didn't hurt or help. No, it just didn't do anything. It was just...
It's just one of those things where when you think of Jeff Daniels, though, you think of Dumb and Dumber.
You do. But did that help his career? Not even a little. I think
he didn't then become the $20 million man.
He literally pretty much stayed on the same trajectory.
He made Arachnophobia.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's the thing, because Arachnophobia was before this.
Was it?
Yeah, that was like 1990, wasn't it?
No.
Are you sure? That was not like 96, dude. That was 90.
Maybe you're right.
He also made another...
That was slightly comedic.
He also made... It was definitely comedic, and he also made another comedy that I'd seen, but I guess, in all fairness, that wasn't very popular, called There Goes the Neighborhood, which we'll cover someday, because I really like that movie.
You're right, 1990, yeah.
According to Jeff Daniels, none of the scenes between Jim Carrey and himself were filmed during the first week of production, because the studio was fully prepared to replace him in the role. Even going so far as to have a comedian on standby waiting to take the role.
That's gotta fucking suck, man.
That does.
You're making. I mean, again, I'm never gonna see $50,000 in my life.
No.
But to an actor, you're making peanuts next to a guy who's making
$7 million to do the same role you're doing.
And I'm looking off camera, and there's some jack off in my costume, and at a drop of a hat.
I don't think they did that.
Who knows? Bob Shea's crazy.
He's not that crazy.
He might be.
Well, he might be. Bob Shea is a crazy person, but he's not that weird.
In my reality, he's on
guy's
set,
standing there like literally like a fucking cougar waiting to pounce. I'm like, what?
Just give me the word, Bobby. I'll jump in there.
Yeah.
Give me $50,000.
However, after viewing the dailies and constant insistence from Carrey that a real actor as opposed to a comedian play opposite him to ground him, the studio ultimately allowed Daniels to keep the role.
Which, hey, fuck you. What do you mean real actor versus comedian?
No, because
you could be one and the same.
You can. He was, in fact, but I think they just hired a comedian who never acted before. He wanted a legit, actor.
Oh.
To sort of make...
Was that Jeff Daniels?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeff Daniels is a legit actor, dude.
Yeah.
He always was. That's why even though he agreed to do this movie, he was still kind of embarrassed by it.
I'm sure, now, he's probably just it was fun.
No. Well, considering he went back and did the sequel, I think
I'm
he's
sure
fine
he got a
with
lot
it now.
more money to
he
do
didn't,
Dumb and Dumber
Well,
2.
he definitely did. But he definitely had misgivings about it when it first came out. I think I have some notes about that after. Jim Carrey's chipped tooth is genuine, resulting from a fight with a classmate in his childhood, but he had since had it capped. He had the crown temporarily removed from the tooth to portray Lloyd. Production was shut down in Salt Lake City for a week when Jim Carrey had surgery for a gallstone. Don't know why I included that, but I found that interesting. I remember hearing about that, actually.
Well, the star of the show...
Yeah, is
in surgery.
Yeah.
We're done for a week. You can't shoot some people. The star of the show is in surgery. Because you can just fucking roll some B-roll of Aspen or whatever.
Well, they do that. I'm sure they do that, but the main production is on hold. Okay. Although I feel like maybe you should move. Well, maybe I guess you can't. Everything's on a schedule. I'd be like, well, you just do some solo Harry stuff, but I guess you can't. When Lloyd notices the article about the moon landing, his reaction was ad-libbed. Also, when Harry and Lloyd are in the car and Lloyd asks if Harry wants to hear the most annoying sound in the world, this was not originally in the script. They didn't do a second take, so you could see Jim Carrey start and Jeff Daniels break. If you watch it, you literally see him just sort of it doesn't even look like the character laughing. He's out.
And you can see Joe.
Yeah, he's starting to go.
He's you can see his eyes closed because he's trying to be annoyed, but at the same time he's just don't laugh.
Don't laugh.
Because I've seen that exact same look on people's faces in SNL sketches when they're just trying their damnedest to I need to be a part of this sketch still, but I also need to not laugh my fool head off. So
Because I'm sure when you're on a movie with Jim Carrey, you're like, well, we know he knows what he's doing. So if he's making something up, it's probably going to be in the movie, so I gotta fucking make this work.
Because when the cartoon man comes around...
Yeah, you kind of let him
do
what he does.
Oh, well, here he comes.
Yeah, you don't stop him. During filming, Jim Carrey stayed the night at the Stanley Hotel and requested to stay in the infamous Room 217. This hotel was the inspiration for Stephen King's book, The Shining. According to the tour guide at the hotel, about 3 hours after Carrey went to sleep, he came running out of the room